Thank you for tuning in. You're watching The Property Guide on ET Now. This is your one-stop guide to all property investments in the country. If you have any feedback about the show or questions regarding buying a home, write to us. Email ID is at the bottom of your screen. On the show this week, we're going to find out if the offers are on their way out. Developers across major metros claim they will hike prices within the fortnight. We'll tell you what's driving growth in Chennai's Velachery realty market and give you some investment options. And we'll talk about investing in Bangalore and Hyderabad. Joining me in the studio, Om Ahuja, CEO of Residential Services at JLL India, and Arvind Nandan, Independent Analyst. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming in. Well, I have personally received mailers from several builders from across the country who've said things like, this is your last chance to buy your dream home. On the 15th of June, we're going to raise prices. Om, are they in a position to raise prices right now? How long do you think it's going to be before we see prices come up?
What we've seen is in last 45 odd days, primarily keeping in mind pre-election and post-election, the scenario has become where a lot of fence-sitters are out in the market taking those decisions of buying. Will this result into increase in prices? I think it will be too early at this point of time, but yes, there is a possibility that wherever developer is seeing the velocity, will start withdrawing these offers, which are special offers, which were basically only rolled out to keep in mind the velocity being very low.
Where have you seen volumes grow in the last 2 weeks?
Well, we've seen Bombay has suddenly seen a good turnaround in last at least 4 weeks. We've seen sudden turnaround in Bombay. We've seen good turn. Bangalore has always been a great market in terms of velocity. Chennai has seen turnaround, and other cities like Kolkata are seeing the trend, but we haven't seen that sudden turnaround what we have seen in Bombay, Chennai, and Bangalore. Hyderabad, Kolkata, Pune, Delhi are yet to see that turnaround.
Arvind, tell me this, if I am a home buyer right now, looking to buy a home that I will live in as an end user, when I read all of these emails, I'm going to think that, oh, I only have 15 days to close a deal. Is it important for me to go out right now and negotiate? Do I have more time? Do you think that it may take maybe at least 6 months before the prices go up in most of our cities?
The first thing is, there was a bit of instability in the market, and also, please remember, the election process itself, whether we like it or not, sucks a lot of money from the system away. You know, as soon as the elections are over, the money actually becomes available, not just in the hands of the developers, but also sometimes in the hands of the home buyers. Now, home buyers are affected in two different ways. One is there is a positive sentiment about the whole economy now getting stabilized and a political stability coming in the way. The other thing is, the micro aspects, the microeconomic aspects are looking like falling in place. So the buyers also have a sudden spurt in their confidence. Now, to the question whether in the next 15 days they will be ready and if they should expect a jump in the next 6 months, I do not think you can give a timeline of 6 months or 8 months, but definitely it looks like the market is now going to pick up. It is already picking up, like you said. So if you have to close a deal, you need to assess your own financial stability and your own financial pocket. And if you have the money, it's probably the best time to go out and do that. But if you do not have, do not panic, please. You know, the market will improve. It is looking like improving. And as things fall in place, things will become even better for you.
All right, I'm going to ask both of you the same question at this point. If you're talking to an investor looking to make a realty investment, what location would you tell him to focus on? And what advice would you give him, Arvind?
The big ticket investments are also now coming back into the market. So when I say big ticket, I mean 1 crore and above. Those kind of investments are also looking to find a way in this market. And therefore, although the primary volume of supply is being added in the far suburbs and in central suburbs, there is a good possibility that a high value investor could also get into the market and invest in, if not a new project, then in resale properties. So there is a great possibility of the investment market picking up in all different bands of the spectrum, rather than only the one specific band that we usually speak of, which is the 50 to 60 lakh band.
Oh, you talked about the fact that Bangalore has always been such a strong market. Is it still the best place to make an investment?
Well, we're looking at basically job creation. We're looking at sustainable model, and we're seeing that more number of new jobs being added in any part of India today. Bangalore stands out in all aspects. When we look at just not job creation, we look at what is the kind of commercial lease absorption, in terms of commercial absorption, in terms of more offices being opened, more absorption in the office space. We see Bangalore stands out in all respects. If you see last 3 quarters data, Bangalore has overtaken Bombay and Delhi. And this clearly gives confidence that if there are more and more companies rolling out new offices or taking new offices on lease, that clearly shows that they are basically going to employ more people. So 18 months, 24 months down the road, you may see more jobs in Bangalore. And those new youngsters who are going to come and join, they will eventually buy home. So that's the kind of confidence, and that similar confidence we see in Chennai. Chennai today, as we speak, the A-grade commercial buildings, there is a shortage. So you have scenario in Bangalore, which is excess in terms of more demand than what the supply is for A-grade buildings. In commercial space, that will reflect into more jobs, that will reflect into more demand in residential. Similar scenario in Chennai, and similar scenario now eventually slowly we see this is happening in Pune. So this basically shows that these three cities are the best choices at this point of time, in addition to Hyderabad, which has always been our best choice.
All right, so those are the cities, and of course, I've been telling us to keep an eye on the second sale market as well. Let's take a few questions. Samir has written in, he's an NRI based out of the US. He wants to buy an apartment in Mumbai with a budget of 50 to 80 lakh rupees. He's shortlisted the Godrej City project in Panvel. Is it a good investment option? That's a very interesting project because it offers you a golf course in Mumbai, which is so rare. Does it make sense to invest in that city, in that project?
Well, Godrej is a very good developer, and the project, as you mentioned, is already having a lot of USPs as we discussed. But yes, the concern is Panvel has a lot of supply.
It's barely even Panvel, is it? It's outside Panvel.
It's so-called Panvel, but it has a lot of supply coming in there. It may take more than 10 years for seeing an appreciation there. So one should be keeping that horizon in mind before taking a such decision.
Well, Sanjay Singh has written in. Now, he wants to buy property in and around BKC in Mumbai with a budget of 4 crore rupees. He shortlisted the Kanakya Zillion project, which is currently at a rate of 15,500 rupees a square foot. He wants to know if it's a good option and what his potential rental return will be. Obviously, everything in and around BKC will be in great demand at this point, but do you think it makes sense to invest?
I think two pockets in Bombay, which are primarily BKC and Lower Parel, will actually have a lot more people looking for staying very close to office. Considering that BKC being the new destination in Bombay for regard to commercial space, every company's headquarters is now today almost there in BKC. So we are seeing primarily any development in 5 kilometers radius of BKC will be a great investment, as we've seen in the past, where you've seen Nariman Point and you've seen NCPA. So NCPA is a class example where you say that people today don't want to sell in NCPA, you want to buy, and it quotes anywhere more than lakh rupee per square feet. We will see something similar in next 15-20 years in and around BKC.
Throw in an added perspective. We have time. Look, BKC per se has, it has become a business district worth its name. Now, the worrisome factor is this. BKC rentals had climbed to 350 rupees plus per square foot basis, about 3-4 years ago. Now they are around 275, 280 rupees square foot per month. In this first quarter itself, the vacancy rates in BKC are about 17 to 18%, which is, above normal, I would say. So it is a market which has come down to some normalization, and the vacancy is still very high. For Kanakya Zillion to find its feet, it will have to spend some more time, and it's not within the main BKC, it's slightly at the periphery. So you are investing a good sum, and it's a very good project, by the way. It's a dream project, I would say. Good project, good investment, but do not expect it to start climbing immediately as soon as you invest.
All right, so it might be a good idea, but of course, with all of those caveats in place, we're going to take a very quick break. When we come back, we'll review Chennai's Velachery market and we'll find out if it makes sense to invest. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching the Property Guide on ET Now. Thank you for staying with us. Both of our guests are still with us, helping us make smarter investment decisions when it comes to buying property. Well, it's time for us to focus on a specific market, and this week we shine the spotlight on Chennai's Velachery. The property prices in this neighborhood have witnessed a significant spike with steady commercial growth. First, let's take a closer look at the neighborhood and the price trends with Avan.
Thanks, Faye. Well, prices in specific pockets of Chennai have witnessed a smart appreciation over the last 2 years. Let's begin with Velachery. The IT hub has seen a price increase of 17% in 2 years. Homes here are currently quoting at an average of 6,600 rupees per square foot. Homes in Perungudi, which is also along the IT corridor, has seen a 21% increase in prices over the last 2 years. So homes over here are currently quoting at an average of 6,000 rupees per square foot compared to 4,950 rupees per square foot in 2012. The upmarket suburb of Adyar has seen a whopping 40% rise in home prices in just 2 years. The homes here are currently quoting at an average of 12,700 rupees per square foot, among the most expensive locations in the city. Property prices in the picturesque Thiruvanmiyur are currently quoting at an average of 10,400 rupees a square foot, an increase of 15% in just 2 years. With that, it's back to you.
All right, Avan, thank you so much for that update. If I'm looking at investing in Chennai, is Velachery the place to look at right now?
Velachery is a natural extension of a city. What happens in Velachery is such a well-connected place. When it comes to basically Velachery, its social infrastructure is robust. We have GST road next door, we have airport close by, we have OMR close by. So it is actually an extension of city. So rates in Velachery in last 3 years have almost doubled. Currently anywhere between 8,000 to 10,000 rupees per square feet is the current rate there. But an area to watch for, area which will actually become a natural extension of the city. People who don't want to go to extreme suburbs, they prefer Velachery.
There is a fair amount of oversupply in Velachery right now as well, right?
Actually, that's true of the neighboring precincts, and if I could use the term, the main culprit has been OMR, which was actually the engine of growth, so to speak, about 5-6 years ago. What has happened, Velachery, first of all, it's nicely wedged between, OMR on one side and GST Road on another side, with Gandhi on towards north. So it's very ideally located. Anything that's a spillover from these comes into Velachery, and by its own, Velachery provides a very nice, I would say, fulcrum for each of these levers. So it is geographically very nicely placed. The main problem is Chennai, actually about 10, 12 years ago, Chennai was the hub of retail, was the hub of IT. And only the overflow from Chennai actually went into Hyderabad and certain other places. That ceased to happen. When the first round of crash happened, Chennai bore the brunt of it to the maximum extent. So what happened in the process was OMR, which was building in anticipation and which was growing in anticipation, started to feel the brunt of it. Today, the situation in OMR is that about 30 to 40% of supply is unoccupied, and therefore the rentals have remained stable at about 30-35 rupees. Velachery, being next to it, naturally behaves in the same manner. But let's not go by that. Velachery is much more dynamic and robust than what OMR would be, or OMR is. It's because it's a nice mix of residential, commercial, and everything. MRTS connects it very well to the northern parts of Chennai. And whatever is happening on GST Road has a natural impact on Velachery. So Velachery, although it is behaving in the same manner as OMR does, it's very different, I believe. And it will pick up faster as soon as there is a growth in Chennai.
What sort of supply is coming up in Velachery right now, and what kind of rental returns can I hope for if I buy them?
Well, I guess the current scenario in India is rental returns are not the criteria to look at residential assets as such, and returns anywhere between 2 to 3% is not exciting enough to look at residential assets. So more capital appreciation is what one looks at. Surprisingly, Velachery doesn't have too much of supply. And if you look at two options there, only two good options in Velachery to look at. One is Phoenix Market City in itself in terms of residential option, or you have Ananya as product, another product which is Ananya. Beyond that, there are other small projects there, but I think one should restrict to these two projects. And frankly, if you ask me, there are not too many options there. Good options I'm referring to. So it's not that we have too much of oversupply in the area. Market is going to be stable enough. Once the supply gets absorbed, we will have challenges to find good place to buy there.
Actually, I want to ask you this. Now, we've talked about this several times, the fact that you both mentioned it, that the resale properties tend to be far lower than the new ones when it comes to neighborhoods like this. If I'm looking to buy in Velachery, or in Chennai for that matter, and you said it will take a while before Chennai sees the kind of recovery that a Bangalore or a Mumbai is seeing, does it make sense for me to then tap into the resale market, find something that will still make sense? The old Chennai homes are larger, they tend to have larger rooms than the newer ones. Does that make more sense at this point?
Well, I would say every city is seeing the dynamics quite different way, but we're seeing more and more standalone buildings are not the preferred. If you've seen this in Bangalore, we've seen people don't get club memberships for 20 years. People don't want to be staying where the children are going and driving, taking bicycles on the road and playing on the road. So people are now slowly moving into gated communities. You've seen this complete trend in Chennai. And if in Velachery is a challenge in terms to find a budget, right budget home, there is a Perungudi as an area. So there is a product there in Perungudi of Ambattur clothing, which is possibly, good, rightly priced. One can't afford Velachery, one can afford Perungudi. So there is a possibility that in Chennai, in the vicinity of 3-4 kilometers, you will find good options. But we are seeing this trend increasingly. Bangalore has been a great point and Gurgaon has been a second point. We have seen people are now coming out of the standalone buildings. I think this trend will catch up in other cities like Chennai, Bombay, Pune. Slowly, steadily, we've seen that people want to get out of this standalone buildings.
I think I broadly agree. But there's one thing that must be kept in mind when we speak of resale. Are we speaking from the perspective of an end user or an investor? For an investor, the things could be very different. It may not make sense if you only want to earn quick returns and high returns to go and buy in a resale property which is already established. So if you go to Adyar, if you go to Post Garden, and if you invested in a resale property, the dynamics are very different than investing in a place like Velachery. So you have to basically assess what you're going to do based on who you are. If you are somebody who wants to buy a home and live in that and take care of your children's school and play areas and all those things, then your perspective has to be very different. Then you might as well go and live in Velachery because you find a gated community. But if you are something else, then take your call differently.
All right, so be careful about what sort of a home you're looking to buy. And of course, if you're looking to buy a home in Velachery or the surrounding neighborhoods, here are some options there. Quickly recap on your screen so you can take them down.
If you're looking to invest in Chennai, here are a few options. The Crest by Phoenix Mills, Bounty Acres by the Plaza Group, Falling Waters by Ambattur Realtors, and the Oceanic by Altis Realty.
Right, Mahajan has written in he wants to buy a 2-bedroom apartment in Chennai with a budget of 85 lakh rupees and investment horizon of 3 years. He shortlisted the Prestige Bella Vista in Purur with a rate of 6,200 rupees a square foot. He wants to know if that's a good investment. Om, would you give him your approval?
It's a good option. I think good price. One should look for it.
All right, that's a good option. We'll quickly take another question. Kapil Bhatt has written in he wants to buy a ready-to-move-in 2-bedroom apartment in the NCR with a budget of between 60 to 75 lakh rupees. He shortlisted the Amrapali Sapphire in Noida. Give him some advice on his investment decision. So he knows what he is. He's an investor. Does that make sense then?
Yes, absolutely. And I think the project is also pretty nice. The best thing that I like about the project is that it's just in the neighborhood of Delhi. So it's sector 45, you cross the river, you touch sector 44, and then you're in sector 45. It's one of those projects which is doing quite well. The price is quite viable. So, I mean, the short and sweet answer is, please go ahead. It's a good project. Go and invest there. It's actually cut above some of the other projects that are there in the vicinity.
All right, before we go into break, I have a quick question for the both of you. And this is something we're hearing on the ground. With South Delhi, places like Horse Cars, there are brokers who are telling us that there are older apartments or older homes available for much lower, and there has been a price cut of about 20% in these homes. When we're talking about maybe these DDA flats available at 80 lakhs or 90 lakh rupees. What do you think is causing that drop in prices, and is this something that investors should use as an opportunity?
But I would say there are two ways to look at South Delhi. South Delhi is a location where people are they aspire to be part of having an address of South Delhi. And if there are something like this, it's abnormal. I would say one should actually go and grab it. So possibility that people are giving up the South Delhi DDA flats and moving to Gurgaon, staying in a gated communities. That's the reason possibly this is happening. But if you look at South Delhi, builder flows today, there's more demand than supply. If you look at any such option, I think it should be worth considering as an investment, or maybe considering if somebody wants to stay in South Delhi, and it would be a good option to look at.
Arvind, South Delhi versus Noida, Gurgaon?
Well, any day South Delhi. But what you said is right. Based on the market information, there is definitely a downclimb in the prices. Why 20%? In some pockets, it's actually more than 25 or 30% as well. And I think the primary reason has been, it's a plethora of reasons actually. The first thing is, an anticipation of something coming up based on the elections. That was one reason. See, Delhi is one market where there's a lot of local financing that takes place in the investment market. And a lot depends on how the financiers perceive the times to come. Because of the uncertainty and because of the fluidity in the situation, there was a holding back of finance to a great extent, not institutional finance, but the finance which comes from other sources. And such conditions made it a market which climbed down to a great extent. This probably is one of the best times to go and buy in Delhi. But you have to remember, you're probably not going to get things at Noida or Gurgaon prices. You're probably going to have to shell out about 3-4 crores, but that is worth its while because you're entering a market at its lower cycle, and then you can climb with it.
All right, so this is, if you do get a deal like that, this is a great time to look at South Delhi. And of course, if you have questions, you can write to us. Email ID is on your screen. We'll take a very quick break. When we come back, we'll look at some investment options in Bangalore and Hyderabad. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching the Property Guide in ET Now. Thank you for staying with us. Both of our guests are still with us in the studio. We'll answer a few more questions. Neha has written in from Bangalore. She wants to buy an apartment with a budget of 1 to 1.2 crore rupees. Give me a few options. It's always nice to hear from a woman buyer. A budget of 1.2 crore rupees, that's a great budget for Bangalore. She can actually consider a villa in some parts of the city. What would you recommend she looks at?
Well, I would say with this budget, she can have a lot more options. You can look at options which are, recently there is Binipet, there is a product launch of Shapoorji Pallonji, which is in this budget, you can actually afford a 3-bedroom apartment there. It's city, 5 kilometers from MG Road, 5 kilometers from Bangalore main railway station. I don't think you can actually get a better deal like this. So there are multiple options. In Bangalore city, 10-15 kilometers radius from the heart of the city, you can get products. I think it's a good budget to look at. Multiple options can be looked at.
Do you have options for her?
Oh, before options, you know, first of all, I'm glad that there is a 1.2 crore budget, a person with that kind of a budget and looking to invest. And that's what I said earlier, you know, people with larger budgets are stepping into the market. I would say she should divide her answer in 3 different parts and then look at locations before she looks at projects. One is look at new projects. There are some excellent projects in Hebal and in different parts of Bangalore where you will get very good projects. Number 2, look at plots. I don't think she has specifically said only apartments. And if she hasn't, then plots is also a very good option. Look at Sarjapur Road, look towards Bidadi. And then the third thing is look at resale as well. Look at all these 3 categories, look at different quadrants of Bangalore, look at Hebal, look at Whitefield Electronic City, and look towards Sarjapur Road. You'll probably find your answers, and a lot of projects that he mentioned, as well as a few others, are ready.
Let's take another question. Ramakant has written in, he wants to buy property in Hyderabad, budget of 50 lakh rupees. Give me a few options. He hasn't specifically told us what neighborhoods he's looking at. And we've talked about Hyderabad in the past as well, where we've said that anything close to the IT hubs would be best. Would you agree that he should be looking at Gachibowli, Madhapur?
Yeah, I think with this budget, he can look for good options in Gachibowli, Madhapur area. And he can certainly look at Miapur as an area where he can get very good options considering the budget what he is. And Miapur happens to be an upcoming hub in Hyderabad. I think budget is good enough for Hyderabad in terms of getting options.
Yeah, completely agree. And if you are a futuristic investor, then look at those places which will grow 5 years down the road. Go closer to the airport. You never know if if things fall in place in 5 years' time, those markets will pick up and accelerate very well.
All right. Unfortunately, we've run out of time on the show. Gentlemen, thank you so much for spending time with us this week. If you have questions for any of our experts, write to us. Email ID is at the bottom of your screen. Thanks so much for watching Property Guide.